For this exercise, we'll be having a look at it on this 1264 Fabriano watercolor paper. This is a very famous paper, and some people really struggle to find it because it's not widely carried. It's 140 pound, 300 GSM, cold press, 9 by 12. And I'm going to tell you something, it's not all that. So if you can't find this, don't fret. It's not fabulous. It's fine, but you're not like missing out on the best painting experience you've ever had or anything like that. For my money, it is affordable here in Canada. Desserts carries it if you really want to get your hands on it. For my money, I think Meeden or Bauhong watercolor paper is absolutely amazing. I've not yet found one that I think is better than that one. This one certainly isn't. So, and that one's fairly affordable too. I'd say this is one step up from Canson XL, but not a whole lot more than that. So don't worry if you always wanted to try it and you can't find it. You know, you're not missing out on some epic life experience or anything like that. So let's get to a blank page here. Okay, here we go. It's full winter where I live in Canada, and I have not seen flowers outside in months, in a very long time. I'm going to be using this book, which the name of which I shall not say. You can see it here, um, because YouTube will not like me if I say this word. It's a really beautiful book. I do hope you pick it up, even if from the library, if you want to get some floral inspiration. And so with that, I think I will use this page as the reference, perhaps starting with this, and maybe I'll pick up another couple of these. Let's sit down together and have a little bit of a painting session. If you're new here, my name is Helen. I am new to the world of art. I'm pretty new to the world of watercolor as well. So if you enjoy this, please do consider giving this video a like and maybe even subscribing. So I'm going to be using just my Cotman watercolor brushes. This is the only kind of brush I own at the moment. They're adequate. They're probably not the absolute best quality. In fact, I know they're not, but they're okay. For now, anyway. Let's get this more centered. I'm going to give this little Cymbidium orchid a try, even though I can see that it's probably going to be a little tricky. But let's jump in anyway. I'm going to be using my Winsor & Newton. This is Roman Szmal's Sap Green, and I think I'm going to mix it with a bit of the Lemon Yellow. And this is actually a Cotman palette, and you can swap out some of the size. It's the same as the Roman Szmal half pan. So that looks pretty good to me. So I'm just going to go in here, kind of just evoke the shape that I'm seeing. There we are. Maybe go in with a bit more green in here. Well, that was a bit more than I wanted, so I'm just going to push it through here, push up a little here. I've been loving Roman Szmal paints. I think this is my go-to brand. They're pretty affordable. The colors are beautiful. And I just love supporting a small maker of paint. It's just, there's a romance factor to Roman Szmal paints that is just missing from some of the larger paint makers. And I know that maybe sounds a bit hokey, but it's so cool. I mean, Roman Szmal is a living, breathing man who makes paints. It's a brand from Poland. So I think I can actually only do this one layer for now. Just clean this up. I'm going to move on to, I think that's a peony. Yes, it's a peony. Other colors I used here to get this is the lemon yellow. I mixed that with the sap green to get this sort of bright green color. And then I dropped just a teeny bit of, I think, a quinacridone red, I think, in there. I didn't look that carefully. Sorry, guys. As you can tell, I'm not that great at remembering what I grab. Let's carry on to the peony. Oh gosh, peonies are kind of tough for me. So I'm seeing very, very, very watered down pink. So for that, I'm going to use this, which is my permanent rose, Winsor & Newton, and I'm going to add a drop of water to get that really, really wet. Make it even wetter. We are even wetter. What I'm doing is I'm just grabbing a drop of water from my water jar. Okay, here we go. Wish me luck. Kind of just trying to get things down as I see them, but sort of mostly just trying to start in with the overall shape. This flower is very interesting. It's very, very backlit. So it's coming up even more pale and light. So if I squint my eyes, I see the value just in the tips here, here, and quite a bit more there. And I'm seeing yellow and like a bolder pink. So I think I'm going to switch to maybe a smaller brush, maybe a filbert. Yes, I'm going to switch to my filbert. This is Winsor & Newton's 10 millimeter 3/8 inch filbert. And what I'm seeing is this yellow here, which looks absolutely hideous. I'm kind of rehydrated a bit. Yeah. Laying that in a bit. So put some there. And now I'm going to go in with some more intense permanent rose. I actually got this from a tube. I used up Winsor & Newton's permanent rose just in this half pan that originally came with this. And then what happened was I liked that permanent rose so much, I stepped up to the artist level grade and I bought the tube because I want to use a lot of it. And, I just refilled once it was empty. And I went in 3 goes so that it could dry off in between. Otherwise, if you just dump a whole bunch in there and level it off, it can take a long time. It just dries kind of weird. But if you do it in 3 stages, which takes a bit of patience, it dries nice and level. And I did use a toothpick to sort of zhuzh it a bit. So I'm just kind of squinting my eyes to see where the value is. And when I say value, I just mean the darkest spots. And I'm not that good at this, by the way. Seeing value and adding depth, I'm not that good at that, and that's okay. I will get better with time. I'm not going to get too literal about what I see, because where's the fun in that? So I added a bit of darker outlines, but I just want to soften them, soften those harsh edges a bit. I'm going to change once again, to now a Cotman size 6. This is a round one. And I'm looking here at this. Got a little bit of green with tiny pink dots. So I don't know how well I'm going to evoke that, but here we go. Doesn't need to be perfect, I don't think. The key is I'm just having fun. This is like very affordable therapy, basically. An artist here on YouTube, I think it was Crystal 10, said, even if you buy the expensive paper, when you sit down to do watercolor, it's only a couple dollars a session. Much cheaper than therapy. Doesn't she have a point there? So I'm just going to drop this in. Just let it do its thing, or it just magically mixes a little bit. I think what I want to do is make this flower a little bigger. And I don't know how successful I'll be, but I'm going to try. Theoretically, I'm in the danger zone where it's a bit damp and hasn't dried yet, but I don't care. It's okay. Just kind of having a play here. Just dropping in some more. Just bring it to life a bit. I love this permanent rose. It's really pretty. I'm going to pick up a little bit because I can see it's a little more wet than I would like. You may see, I don't know how far we'll get, but you may see that this paper, what I'm alluding to with it is like, it's not that great. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to stop. I really want to keep going, but I'm going to force myself to stop right there. and let that dry. Okay, now I'm going to work on this Phalaenopsis orchid. And let me put this one down. I'm not going to be too literal about it. So this is Roman Szmal's Magenta, which, pow, has so much of a punch. It's crazy. It's quite a transparent flower. I'm just going to try and get the general shape. And there aren't a lot of dark parts. I think just here, and then that's almost a red. So let's see what we can do. This a bit of overlap. I'm very lazy to come back to go over my paintings a second time with watercolor. I wish that weren't the case, but it's kind of just who I am. Okay, this is a kind of a dark red, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to go in with, I believe this is Quinacridone Red by Roman Szmal. See it here? And what you're not seeing, I'm off over here to the side, but I'm kind of dabbing things off, adding water. Sorry, a bit sight unseen on my palette over here. I also got the dirty water off screen. Do you guys like seeing people dip into the water? I think I do. I just cannot fit it all. It would have been my preference to capture it all for you guys, but my camera setup will not allow for that. Okay. Is this in here? Do. Would this have been better had I wait till it was totally dry? Yes. Am I impatient to actually wait for that? Also, yes. Okay, here. Yeah, I wanted to show you about this paper. Now, I did make it quite wet, but you'll see there's this bloom here. If I were using like Bao or Medan paper or another high quality paper with more cotton in it, that would not happen because this is not more or less water than I would normally use. It's the same amount. In this case, it's the paper and me, of course. But some papers coat better than others, and that's fine. So let's see what else we could paint. Oh, you guys, okay. White flowers, the bane of so many watercolorists, including me. So I think theoretically the approach for this is just to use a dirty water. So I'm going to see what I can use that could be dirty, a dirty light water, and I'm going to put it up here. Let's see. Sorry that my scarf is like kind of stealing the show. It's so cold. I've got this scarf around me like the granny in Little Red Riding Hood. So I think if I use this one here, ooh, my brush is not that clean. I think if I use this one here, that's going to make pretty good dirty water. Let's move this a bit. Okay, there's really not a lot of difference in value in this one. It's just pretty white. And like I said, I think they're backlit, so that makes them even less shadowy. Does that make any sense? So as far as I can tell, it's kind of a ball. Just a fluffy ball. So I'm just going to go in there with these like quick strokes. There's a hair. And I'm seeing some yellow in the middle, so I will get to that. So I'm mostly doing these bigger ones with the 10 round. Okay, I'm just picking up more dirty water because I think that was not enough. Not enough. Okay, I'm going to add now. I'm going to switch over to my Winsor Newton round 4 and try and pick up some of this yellow tone, which I think matches, again, this yellow. This is a warmer yellow. I think this is cadmium yellow hue or something. I can't remember. I'm just going to drop a little in there. So these are loose florals, obviously, guys. I'm not drawing them at all. I'm not sketching them. I'm just kind of going with the flow. That might actually even be too much. So I'm going to pick some of this color up because you see there's hardly any yellow there. Oh, with my scarf. Thank you, scarf. No, I meant to use this little bit of paper towel. Yeah, I think that's okay. So now let's tackle this one. I think that's an anthurium. Wait, it says here. It says here. Oh, yeah. So it's all the way over here. Curly anthurium. Right, let me just reposition a wee bit. interesting because it's very spotted and almost an orangey red. So what are we going to do to get an orangey red? I think I'm going to use, I think this is Scarlet Red. Can you see? It's this one here. I'm pretty sure it's Scarlet Red. Use Scarlet Red, and I'm going to pop it in here. And I'm going to pick up a bit of Quinacridone Red as well. Then I'm going to rinse off my brush and just start with some water to just kind of get a shape going. Yeah, that's not right. That's not right at all. Okay, just back to the straight Quin Red. I'll put it here. Rinse. Just basically trying to get the shape somewhat correct. It's not easy. And I can see the color is deepest here, so I'm going to draw some in. This is very wet on wet. And it's got this curly. I don't know how much I'm going to attempt to do that. And in fact, it's probably too wet, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. There. And I can see there's quite a bit of green, so I'm going to go in again with Sap Green. Ooh, okay, let's do it. I'm going to rinse off the brush a bit. Just pick up a tiny bit. That's not bad. Okay, I'm going to let these dry and we'll be back soon. So it's about 15 minutes later, and these are mostly dry. They're not drying particularly fast because my house is cold today. I've lost the scarf though. I've warmed up a little bit. What I'm going to go in and do is just put in some finishing touches in these. And so I like to use a really small round brush. This is a 1. I might even use this one as well, which is the 4. But what I'm going to do is just put in some details. So when I have these kind of bright colors, I think it's nice to also have some earth tones with them. This is Roman Szmal's Buff Titanium. It is the best color. It gives everything this sort of almost oil painting, old-timey look. I wish I had something at hand. I don't have a painting in hand to show it to you, but it's so good. If you take nothing away from this video, take away the fact that Buff Titanium, which is not going to show up that well here, is totally worth buying if you're thinking about it. Well, I don't know that the camera's picking it up, but it's adding just this beautiful neutral tone. And then just a tiny bit of depth here. So for these little dots, I'm going to go in with, I think, just dots of this. I believe that's Quinacridone Red. And here I have water bloom, but that's okay because I wanted to paint this in a little bit. Anyway, also going to bring in a little bit of Roman Szmal's Van Dyke Brown, which is so translucent. This is such a hard color to activate. It's just not, well, it looks good there, but I struggle to add enough water to rehydrate it, dabbing off my brush because I could see there was some extra water. So I'm just going to put a little bit here. This Van Dyke Brown is also a nice color to, I'm just going to get a bit of a more of a watery mix. It's a nice color to make lines into the flowers if you like that look. It's just very soft. Just adding some soft lines in here. I don't know how well you see them, but I'm just kind of following the reference photo. Just drawing in a few lines. Okay, so that's our Cymbidium orchid. Let's move on. This is wet because it was quite watery. Let's move on to the Phalaenopsis orchid. I think what I'm going to do is just get some more magenta, clean off the round brush. Winsor & Newton Cotman, size 1 again. I'm swapping between 2 palettes that I have. These are my loose ones, and they're in an Altoids palette, which I can't flip around without flipping all these, but you know the little mints? My mom kept the tin for me, so I'm just using that. It just dropped water on my painting. What else is new with me? So I'm going to see about shaping this the way I see it here. Once again, this is the magenta. I see some overlap down here. This magenta is so powerful. Totally worth it if you love magenta, as I do. Probably my favorite Roman Szmal color is that magenta. Now I'm just going to add in some of the lines that I see. This flower has so many lines and it's so much veining in it, but I'll never capture all of that, and I'm okay with that. It's like a real intricate webbing, and I'm not going to be able to get all of that because I'm not trying to do anything hyper real. I just want to define this a little bit. Scarlet Red, Roman Szmal. There. It still doesn't have the depth that I'm looking for. I'm actually not done. I thought it was. I'm not. So I got these down, and I'm just going to blend that out a bit. Okay, the peony, the notoriously hard one, because they're so soft and ephemeral, it's very hard to capture that detail for beginners anyway. I'm certainly finding that to be the case. What I do want to capture is all these little stamens. I'm no botanist, so I don't know the names for a lot of this stuff. This is a yellow from Roman Szmal. I can't remember the name of it, but if you like this yellow, I will link it down. It is one of the more warm yellows. This I know for sure. This one here with the green in it is lemon yellow for sure. So once again, still with the round brush, I'm just going to dab in, and I can see right now I'm not loving it. I need to go with a darker. I think I'm actually going to do, even though it looks a bit dark, is this Winsor & Newton Burnt Umber. I think that's the name of it. Yes, that's the color I wanted. So many of these in here. Now I'm going to rinse this off, and this is where I'm going to depart from the reference photo itself. And I'm going to go in there with a lot of Van Dyke Brown, which is not a color that I'm seeing, but I feel like it will just add a lot. And just randomly placing it, just very intuitively, just kind of putting it in there. Was this the right thing to do? Was it not the right thing to do? I don't know. No, I'm not sure it was the right thing to do, but what I'll do is I'll just blend it out. I'm just wetting it and blending it out a bit. These lines are just too much. Okay, I'm going to switch to the filbert to help me move this along. Back to the Cotman filbert. And now that's too much water. Oh well. I think it's actually quite nice. The Van Dyke Brown actually goes very nice with this pink. Pink and browns look nice together on flowers. I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying how that looks. So I will add some more. Just using the filbert instead for a softer look instead of the lines. What I do want to do is add this definition back in. So I'm going to grab some of this green. This is the Sap Green, Roman Szmal. Dab it off. Come back in here and define these a bit. My hands are not the steadiest today. Cleaning off my brush. I'm going to go back in there and spread these in. I did a watercolor class, and I swear our instructor just made us soften lines. That was the entire class, softening lines. I was very skeptical, but I think he was right. You should learn how to soften lines. But at the time, I kind of wasn't that impressed. I wanted to learn more things, but there's some dark in there, so I'm going to see now about adding some Van Dyke Brown to add a bit of shadow in between here. I don't know. Don't know if I love that, but this peony's a bit of a mess, but you know what? I'm just going to move on. Okay, this white flower is a rose. That's what it was, a garden rose. And it's probably not visible at all. But I think she is in need of some Van Dyke Brown, which I'll grab from here. Again, Roman Szmal, Van Dyke Brown. I'm just going to add some petals, how I see them in this photo. They're so fluffy and fluttery. That's what makes, I think, the essence of peonies hard to capture, or maybe there's another reason they're hard to capture. You guys tell me. If I weren't doing loose florals, the way I would love to approach this actually would be with line and wash to draw it out and then to add. But we're not doing that today. So I'm going to go in and just darken up that spot just a bit more here and here. I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, this here Anthurium, I can see, needs the most outer work. It needs, at a minimum, more of this color, this orangey red color. What am I going to do? I think I'm going to switch back to an old Winsor & Newton. I can't remember the name of this. It's technically red, but it looks orange to me. Cadmium red? Can that be? I don't know. So some of these are a mix and match of like Winsor & Newton ones I took out of this that I don't use that much, and I put them in here. It's a jumbled mess right now, and I'm okay with that. Okay, yes. That feels right. I realize now I need to fix this and make the tail bit of it a little longer. There we are. If I had the patience, I would wait for this to dry, but we know that that is not the case for me, so I'm going to go straight in with the fun part, which is going to be tons and tons of dots. Being careful not to go on the swirly stem of it, because that doesn't have any dots, really. This is fun. One thing I do want to see if I can get right is though is making that a bit more prominent. So how will we do that? Let's see. We'll grab some of this orange in here and maybe get a drop of Payne's gray. So that's Roman Szmal's Payne's gray. Nearly everything I own is Roman Szmal. It's my favorite paint type. Oh, Rosa is very good too. Sorry to take a bit of a break here. Rosa from Ukraine. It's just nice to support a Ukrainian company as well. They made this silver and this purple in my palette. I only have these two, but they're brilliant. They're really good. Very highly pigmented. A little goes a long, long way. Unlike this Van Dyke brown. Soften this green. Go on top of the green with dots. More dots. A bit more of a concentrated orange over this. Soften up these edges. Still not happy with that little swirly thing. This is hard to paint. There. All right, I'm going to call it there. This is a fun little quick painting session. I love doing loose florals. It's not what I'm best at, but it's the thing that I find the most therapeutic and fun, that's for sure. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something about maybe some of these Roman Szmal shades if you are interested in them. And we'll see you in the next video.